here we go. We are falling with Andreas down the rabbit hole. I'm falling, falling, falling down, down, down the rabbit hole with Andreas. Exert us. Here we go, we are falling. Careful, somebody asked a question or said a thing. And now we are falling down the rabbit hole on some tangent. I love it. Oh, here we go. We are falling with Andreas down the rabbit hole. I'm falling, falling, falling down, down, down the rabbit hole with Andreas. Exert us. Here we go, we are falling. Careful, we're falling with Andreas. Somebody asked a question or said a thing. And now we are falling down the rabbit hole on some tangent. I love it. Ooh, here we go. We are falling with Andreas down the rabbit hole. I'm falling, falling, falling down, down, down the rabbit hole with Andreas. Exert us. Ooh, we go, we are falling. Careful, we're falling with Andreas. Somebody asked a question or said a thing. And now we are falling down the rabbit hole on some tangent. I love it.
The whole thing.
I felt it fitting. You know, it's been a long time since you and I just kind of wrapped it out, and you made it seem like you were like, man, I got some things to say, and I'm like, say no more. Come on the show.
Oh my god, that was like the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League. It was like the 6-hour version. That felt good.
But it was a perfect little intro to bring on you to spin down a rabbit hole. Now, we started having conversations about something else, and I was like, stop, wait. I want to talk about it live. And then you were like, shit, I can't join you.
Dude, just yesterday, it was a bummer.
And that wasn't even about the Epstein stuff, which I know you have opinions on. So where do we start? I mean, you have a lot of things to add with the whole Epstein stuff, and I do kind of want to talk about it a little more because I feel me and Garrett rapped about it a bunch yesterday. But
dude, it was great. I hope everyone saw the episode yesterday because you guys went everywhere with it. There's almost everything that needed to be covered in terms of, and you predicted. You were like, you know what they're probably going to say? They're like, why are you still talking about the Epstein thing? Verbatim, Trump said exactly what you jokingly said would be said.
I forgot I said that. You're right. Chet, did you see that? Today, someone asked Pam Bondi about the missing minute, and Trump goes, you guys are still talking about that? Holy shit, I need to make a cross reference. I need to be like, cut, Monday, me saying like, watch, next they're gonna do, and then like look,
straight up happened.
I'm not I gotta say that makes Trump look pretty guilty. All right. I like Trump. Don't get me wrong, but like, dude, what do you mean? What do you mean? Why are you still talking about Epstein? Are you serious? Do the freaking elites of the planet are on a list or potentially were doing the worst things imaginable to children, and we're supposed to just forget about it because the government told us to stop looking? What the fuck? I thought Trump was a smart guy. I honestly thought he was.
You read Julian Assange's response, right? And he said that what
did he say?
He said the reason the FBI wouldn't, I'm going to quote it here. The reason the FBI wouldn't let the Epstein client list come out in court is because if they did, their blackmail would no longer be useful, and the CIA would lose the control over all the powerful people that they or the Mossad spent decades setting up. So
Okay.
essentially that I think is that's maybe a sliver of it right there. That if they did have this stuff, hypothetically, then they would lose whatever value they had over the elite. And this is also like funny because everything's a sync right now. It's like the synchron mysticism Kubrick level thing that is it blackmail? And then P. Diddy's trial, and P. Diddy is a blackmail. And is there just like, are they saying like, do they say things that are cover-ups that aren't even cover-ups? They're actually just ways of making puns in the news so that they're saying what they're saying, like it's already out there for everyone to see. And the last part I want to say was the 4chan thing, because like 4chan, 8chan, Infinity-chan, when the QAnon stuff was happening, the Q posts back before January 6th, one of the major ones was the NFT tokenization of the list, and saying that all of these things, that there were NFTs that have Bitcoin addresses, that have lists of clients' names and everything like that, but they're hidden in NFTs. And these NFTs are image files and images of child pornography. So to actually have the NFT would be illegal. To have the money, to have the data, to have everything else would be hidden inside of an illegal image. And so that way there would be no way to share it with anybody without decrypting it and taking it apart. So you would be literally in possession of something illegal, which is exactly what Kash Patel kind of insinuated on Joe Rogan when he was like, well, don't you think we would have? Don't you think we would have? He kept saying, don't you think? Instead of we don't, over and over again. I think that's a big part
I don't
of
like
it.
that. I don't like that. That's such a bullshit way of answering a question. Don't you think that we would do this? Well, yeah, but answer the fucking question. Why, definitively answer the question, or otherwise you're just making it sound. And then I also want to add the response that Pam Bondi, the excuse that she gave for the missing 1 minute. Oh, well, every day there's a minute missing. And can we get that footage? No, we're working on getting you proof that there's a minute missing in every day. And it's like, well, that's a pretty fucking big deal if you have one of the highest profile traffickers ever, with potential connections to every elite in the system, all systems across the board. And we're supposed to just believe you that this random footage of some hallway proves that he killed himself because no one was in there, but there's a fucking minute missing? No. And then Trump, I mean, seriously.
It's just weird because for $350, like Timcast style, if you want to get, like when we had a security system at the castle, right? This is essentially $350 security camera system on Amazon right now. So I'm imagining that the Arkham Asylum Batman prison has better security systems in this, but they don't use tapes, like they use hard drives. These hard drives are 2 terabyte, and they should be able to record 6 weeks at a time, while there's also a lapse for the next thing to record onto. There should be no lost footage. That doesn't make any sense. And
granted, hold on. All right. Just to play the devil's advocate on that, all right, we are talking about the government. Which last time you saw a government computer or like their systems, you know what I mean? They are rather outdated. I'm not making an excuse for it. I'm just saying like there is okay. What do you got here? What is this? What did you just look up?
I'm gonna pull it up in a second. Actually,
Super Grok.
I'm looking.
I just saw Super Grok.
I was back at I want to get the exact evidence here, but what I wanted to point up is the prison's privatization system. I don't know if this is an actual fact, because the federal prison system since Clinton's period have all been privatized. So if it's a privatized prison, then they should have better, they have better funding to do whatever they want, and they should have better efficiency than a federal agency, usually does. There's no reason that they shouldn't have better recording equipment. But the point is, 1 minute is enough time to move 6 people into a room and to replace the body with another body,
100%.
And then I think at that point, are we saying that we think he's been murdered or suicided, at all? Why do we have evidence to believe that he's dead at all? You were looking at the ears and the nose. There's a lot of evidence that person's not the same person. There were all kinds of calls saying that during COVID at Zorro Ranch, that Epstein had that some old white male was at Epstein Ranch during COVID, alive. So maybe living not you were joking about him being on his island. I think he was on.
I wasn't joking.
But, well, there you go.
I was not joking. I was dead serious. I'm pretty sure I saw a picture of him like having a cigarette or some shit.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I definitely seen some stuff about him being on the Zorro Ranch, and then the connection to the cloning thing, because he was doing all this sperm bank financing, and that's the thing about the list is a lot of the list is just trying to get himself ingratiated with people that were either good at tech, were involved with Hollywood, were in government, or were working for some sort of futurist transhumanism. Like his interest in that was crazy. He was all about anybody who could clone him, reproduce children using his sperm. And one of the connections is the Raelian group, right? So there's this weird, the alien cult with the swastika Star of David logo that Kanye West pointed out. Elon Musk is a member.
What is it called? What is it called again?
Raelism.
Raelism. Elon Musk is a realist?
Yeah, here's their logo. If you haven't seen it, Kanye West this is the first time Kanye West was shut down on X, was when he posted the Raelism logo and said, hey, Elon Musk is a member of Raelism. And
I remember this. I remember seeing that and being like, oh, he mixed the swastika and the Jewish star together, right? And I guess that's not the case. This is actually...
It's an actual thing. It's a religion it's a UFO cult. It's one of those things where Elon Musk keeps saying that he's like an alien, who's like come to Earth.
Wait. Does Elon Musk? Are you just making an assumption that he's a realist,
he's literally, not only is he a part of the movement, he's not only helped the movement out, but he's also been publicly referred to as Maitreya Rael, which Maitreya is the name of like Rael. Maitreya is like this, bodhisattva that the Lucis Trust thinks like Christ and the avatars of Vishnu, Adolf Hitler, etc. They all think of them as these like creator destructive Buddhas that are coming forth, that are supposed to incarnate and bring forth the new eon or new age, right? So Elon Musk has openly talked about Raelism before, and his association with Rael, and Rael is this guy, Claude Maurice Marcel Vorilhon or whatever, who, he's from France, and he started this group. He also started, what's it called? There's the Clonaid, and then there's another thing.
What's Clonaid? Don't move too fast. Is a company that works on cloning people? I'm assuming based on the name alone.
Exactly. So basically, Clonaid was started in started in the 90s at some point. It was heavily financed by Epstein. Epstein was involved with financing by what's his name? The guy from the World Trade Center. Who's his friend?
Not the Rockefeller. The other dude. God, Luke Rakowski freaking confronted him in an epic proportions. The guy who owned Building 7, is that who you're talking about?
Right, exactly. The owner.
What's his name?
Larry Silverstein. Larry Silverstein.
There it is. Yeah.
So Larry Silverstein money went into Clonaid. Okay, Larry Silverstein money, and this is the whole
weird
thing. Clonaid announced in 1997 that they had successfully cloned a human being.
In the 90s.
In the 90s. If you type in Clonaid Eve, you can look it up right here. It's actually on Wikipedia and everything else, unveiling the first secrets.
Wikipedia is my least favorite.
Sure. Well, Fox News was, I think, a major. This is the article originally talking about. This is way later, 2003. But they say the baby was alive in Israel since 1997. Her name was Eve, and she's still alive at some place, but never been publicly admitted who the person is. Right?
What?
Yeah. So Clonaid, one of their idea, and this is the thing, cloning sounds really crazy, but if you know about in vitro fertilization, which is something that Trump's been really pushy about, is an IVF treatment.
I'm not a fan.
If you're 45 and you worked in Hollywood and you don't want to adopt a transgender an African kid, IVF might be for you. But one of the things they're doing with it is they're making it possible to give a specific kind of virus, right? Like an adenoviral vaccine to this egg, and then the egg will lose all of one side of the genome. They're using it so they can do transgender 3-person parents for babies and things like that, where you can have multiple
It's
partners,
so messed up.
hybridization.
I
Well,
hate it, dude. I think it's horrible.
the other thing you can do is just get one parent. If you just get one parent and you have just one parent's genome and you replicate that in an egg, that's pretty much producing an egg that has the identical genome of the parent ahead of yourself. So then you put that in through IVF and in vitro fertilization, and you have an egg inside a carrier. So you have like a paid for womb. And there's a lot of women that, you know, are
I hate
like
this.
the Caribbean.
I hate all of this. I think this is a horrible thing that humanity is pushing.
But this,
I think it's terrible.
I don't disagree. I don't necessarily. I don't have like a strong.
I do. I'm being the strong opinion person on all this, and well, the cloning is. I'm not even talking about the cloning aspect of it. Yeah. That's even more horrible. That's horrifying.
Here's my opinion. Cloning exists, and it's been going on since at least the 90s.
Well, that's not an opinion. That's just a fact. You're saying facts. You can't. That's not a.
Well, okay.
It's my opinion that this thing has happened.
But you know, like it could be true. You know, I'm pretty sure.
No. Wait, hold on. Now, whoa, wait a minute. You can't change that. You went from this is happening to now it could be true. So like has cloning happened since the 90s or not? It has.
This is more than it could be true. I believe this is definitely true. That Eve exists, and if you go back, there's probably even earlier than Eve clones.
Okay, I want to. Okay, hold on. I want to read this article. I want to read this. Let me see.
Okay.
Okay. This is that Fox News article. The Clonade chief, baby Eve alive in Israel. Now this is from 2003, mind you, everyone. It was updated in 2015 for some reason, which is very odd. 12 years later, it got an update. Anyway, let's see. The head of the company that claims to have created the first human clone appeared in court Wednesday and insisted under oath that the baby exists and is in Israel. With that, Circuit Judge John Frusciante said the baby would be outside the jurisdiction of the Florida court, and he threw out the petition seeking the appointment of a guardian for the child. So wait, who was the guardian of the child then? Was just in some lab?
Essentially, they're saying that Raelians are the guardian of the child, and someone was trying to get a guardian of the child in Florida.
The whole like
cult
was the guardian of the. Okay, that's horrifying.
So and then, in other words, the guardian of the cult would have been Rael, the god. But this is kind of what the Theosophic Society did with Christian.
Wait, hold on. That Rael guy is the old dude that you brought up earlier that was like 78 or something.
Right, yeah.
Now
and he worked with Bridget Bossier or something like that.
Wait, who's that? Who's that?
So Clonade was started by Rael, but also he's not a scientist. So he had Bridget Bosselier, I think is her name. I'll send you the link to her.
Hold on. Me too, Blackblade. Hold on. Blackblade said this subject's a bit out there for me, dog. Hold on, real quick. I just want to remind everyone the subject of today is.
Oh, here we go. We are falling victorious down the rabbit hole. I'm falling down the rabbit hole with Andreas. Xirtus.
Okay, so who's this? Okay, so this is the scientist that figured out how to do it. Is that who this is?
The lady who was in charge of Clonade, who's a realist. And you'd be amazed which people are realists. There's a crazy number of people that are realists, and this is one of them. But her association with the Roslin Institute, and the Roslin Institute is the one that cloned Dolly, the sheep.
The sheep,
right?
Ah, I remember that. Yeah, okay.
Are we okay? I feel like I'm glitching out here. Did you hear what I said? I don't know.
You seem totally fine to me. I heard every single thing you said. Can you hear me, or are you?
Ooh, crazy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, everything's fine on my end. You sound perfectly clear.
My God, the glitch is killing me here. I'm gonna reload the page.
Okay, he's having some sort of weird glitch. While he reloads, I'm gonna continue trying to figure this out here. So okay. But the judge warned Clonade President Bridget Bossier, you cannot pursue human cloning with impunity. Bossier said she had seen the child nicknamed Baby Eve by the company only on videotape before the parents cut off contact with her last week. The company said, can you, are we good now?
Yeah, I can hear you
now. Okay, cool. Company said it had since cloned 2 more babies, but has not provided any proof of their existence. And this is in 2003.
By 2003, the baby was cloned in 1997, right after Dolly.
Right.
Dolly's 1996.
So this is being reported in 2003. You can only imagine. Here we are 20 years later, 22 years, totally. 3 years later, what they've done. And I'm going to go even further down this rabbit hole real quick. Okay. After my show yesterday, I was looking into Epstein and viewing people's opinions on it. And I myself went down a little bit of a rabbit hole. And there's two theories that there's one theory that I struggle with believing, but I'm going to tell you about the theory anyway, because I feel like this subject somehow actually makes this theory more plausible. And I'll get to that. But the one thing that I really hope that everyone keeps talking about, the cope is really real with the people that are saying this, that Trump is somehow using this to maintain some sort of a leverage over his enemies to try to get what he wants as president. Now, I don't even like that, because that means he's allowing these people, these sick fucks that did all this shit, to be free just to get what he wants. And it's like, I don't think it's worth it to me. Anyway, that's one side of it. Now, the second one that I've been seeing, I saw, is that it's so dark, it's so demented, that the world would flip its shit. And I mean, these kids weren't just being abused on a level that we assume, right, on the surface, but that they were being eaten, that they were being used for experiments, for hybrids, being forced to do things, or their DNA and bodies being used for science, for shit like this. Now, I didn't see any proof of this, and I was like, this feels like crazy to like think about this. And they even spiral even further down to mention demons and like demon children. Now, I don't know if you believe in demons or not, but I mean, I've seen a lot of evil in this world. I know it exists. But now Andreas comes on, he starts talking about this this cloning, and then we know about CRISPR and like genome editing and like where they've gotten. They're trying to make super soldiers, right? And that's just
they've got super soldiers.
I'm sure they do. Of course they do.
We have islands.
Tell me. What do you know about this?
Sorry. Okay, so you can look up, if you type in Russia, China, U.S. super soldiers, and I can send you links to this, you'll find that there are articles talking about, like, saying the U.S. government saying, yeah, we have super soldiers. China's got super soldiers that they built. They use tardigrade genetics to build these Captain America.
Tardigrade, the water bears,
using DNA from the tardigrades. And they have entire islands where they've raised these people. They're like 20 years ago. This started 20 years ago. So we have entire generations of super soldiers that are already alive. China's already done testing, quote unquote, to create biologically enhanced soldiers.
This is 2020.
Yeah, but by 2020, they've got an entire generation of super soldiers that are already raised. And the United States has islands off the coast of American Samoa, where they have entire populations of 20, 30,000 people that are super soldiers that have already been bred. You might already be like, there are super soldiers that are old enough to drink, probably, 21-year-old super soldiers at this point that are after their.
Well, according to Captain America, it doesn't do anything for them because their metabolism's so quick. So, I mean.
Well, there might be that they have like shortened lifespans. There's a lot of evidence that like super soldiers aren't meant to have like longevity. They're just meant to be strong, and China particularly. But we're saying, hey, if Russia has them, if China has them, then we should have them too. So they
what's the point of an old super soldier anyway? You know what I mean? Just old and outdated. That's a movie. That's a movie.
The retired super soldiers.
You know what I mean? Just freaking getting old, but still a badass. But like they don't want that him. They're still alive, but he escaped somehow.
There is something to that because the Clone Wars, the Star Wars Clone Wars. Yeah, the Star Wars Clone Wars series actually talks about specific divisions of clones that are old and basically after the war after the Clone Wars are still alive. And I think that there is a little bit of disclosure there, that they're talking a bit about the Clone Wars, that they're trying to say that this is something that's really been going on.
This is so brutal. I just have to say that's so brutal. The Pasture starring Bruce Willis. He's perfect for it now, although, you know.
But now you've got,
so
in 2012, you had Google working with the US government to build a company called 23andMe, working with Chinese labs.
That company.
And they're taking all of the genomes of everyone, amassing the biggest DNA databases in the world. Insane. To steal each other's DNA, and they're using these sequences in order to make super soldiers, right?
It's crazy. 23andMe. I've never done it, but like, I in my own
chances are someone you know that did and has your DNA. Like
people in my family did do it. We found an uncle of mine that we never knew existed. He didn't know his family at all. My grandfather was a traveling salesman and was very successful in selling.
In a lot of ways.
And we met. I met him like 3 years ago. I was like, oh, hi, new uncle. After 38 years of living on this planet, I met a new uncle, and he looks just like all my other uncles. Like he's a splitting image of like all of my other uncles combined. He's just another one of them.
When you get the genes down,
I have 8 uncles. My dad has 8 brothers. By the way, it's insane.
I do think genes refine themselves. There's a certain thing about hybridization and everything, but there's a certain thing.
Wait, are you telling me I'm fucked? Am I fucked? Do they have my? Because I'm like
they probably. I wouldn't
lineage.
say you're.
I didn't give him my DNA.
I feel like someone in your family did, and that's enough. Like usually, there's only so many people, and they have one person in enough of a family that they have enough of a lot of people's genes, and they have specific genes. Now, maybe not everybody. But they have a lot of genes, is the point, right? And
that company is selling everyone's data. But you can go on right now and like click through, like try to find the one spot, and then of course they were getting grilled in the Senate. Did you see this last week or 2 weeks ago? That they people are trying to delete their data because you could just go and delete it, but it like crashed. And whatever, they have your DNA if someone else did it in your family. Well, they have they have parts of my DNA, not my full DNA chain, because it's not on my mom's side. You know what I mean? It was on my dad's side. So they have like a set amount of it. You know what I mean?
The other thing is, politicians that are into this stuff. So there's like, what's his name? Senator Mark Hunt, right? Mark Hunt was involved with Clonaid and was legislating he wanted to clone his own son. And he's still in government right now. There's tons of these people. You don't understand how many
Mark
people
Hunt. I don't trust this guy. We should rename him. His name. I'm going to call him Mike instead.
Mike Hunt for the Hunt for Red October. Yeah, and political party Democrat before 2022, Republican after 2022. You
definitely don't trust him.
You know about the
Can't
rhinos.
Stand it.
You know what's happening.
Can't stand that shit, dude.
So there's a lot of
Democrat all the way to 22 and then swap to Republican. Bullshit.
Right. And we don't need to go super
I'm
deep
sure there's
into,
many such cases.
We don't have to go super
what do you
deep
mean?
into cloning.
Super deep into what?
We go, we are falling, the victory is down the rabbit hole.
What do you mean we don't have to? That is the whole point and premise of today's episode, is diving down into the rabbit hole with you. We're asking you to take us down, pull us down there.
Well,
your brain is a freaking black hole.
Yesterday you brought up so many important things. You're like, you're talking about the heart attack gun, right? And so today I posted on my channel the 5-hour videos from the church committee.
Oh, the original one.
That show the gun. That's where that whole story comes from.
And what year was that? What year was that? I forgot what year it was.
1975.
So in 1975 they had this shit.
Well,
that was
about it.
Right. Excuse me. Good point. That's when the public found out about it, and that was 46 years ago. You know what I mean? Or however many.
50. Here's the video. Here's the photograph, rather, of Senator
holding the gun. Yeah. So if you didn't know, this is the gun I mentioned yesterday, the heart attack gun. Right. There it is, and it's in you can't trace it. It's you don't know it, like how they died. They just they had a heart attack, and like that's it. Oh, they had a heart attack. Okay, sure.
But they go into so much stuff. Like, it's really worth watching the church committee hearings because they go into so much stuff. And it's like the right hand, while the left hand is like the right hand's empty and they're showing you Watergate. While the left hand is like grabbing you under the table, usually at your genitals. You know, they got you by the balls. That's what
A little bit of a how's your father? Sorry.
That's what the church committee hearings is like, because they're telling you, they're like, well, and you have interviews with people wearing like a Mission Impossible Eyes Wide Shut mask because they're still in active duty, so they can't even admit what they're doing. It's like, it's super crazy stuff. The church committee hearings is where we first found out about MK Ultra, right? The idea that mind control, super assassins were being hypnotized and trained, men who stare at goats, all that other stuff. But it's also where we hear about the family jewels, which sounds kind of like what you just said a second ago, but it refers to the programs that they had to spy and to blackmail and basically what we think Epstein was doing, right? Like, entrap people into doing leaders of countries. You know, Fidel Castro is the famous one, but also, you know, like the Dodge Hammarskjöld from the United Nations before he's killed in the Congo accident where they crashed his plane and they Photoshop all the airbrush all the pictures of bullets out of his head, right? Dodge Hammarskjöld.
I don't even know about this. What year does this happen? When did this happen?
This is in the late 60s. He dies early 60s. He dies in 61. Dodge Hammarskjöld was a from a caste system in Sweden of butlers for the royal family of Sweden, and he ended up in charge of the United Nations, and he knew too much essentially about the Soviets and the United States spying on each other, and so they crashed his plane. I think MI6 helped do this, but you know, that's just my opinion, in the Congo, where they ended up getting, I think about 2021 we started getting the photos without the airbrushing, and we're like, wait, there are bullets in his head. What is the autopsy report? And like, well, they burned his body.
Of course they did.
For like, you know, the rivets in the plane popped out and shot him or something like that. It must have just been, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, he died in North.
Yeah, and jet fuel melts steel beams. Yeah. Did I lose you? Am I losing you here? I feel like I'm losing him a little bit. Diana Francisco. I gotta wait till he returns to read your rumble rant there. Stefan Collin is late, but you're here, and that's what's important. I don't know where Andreas is. I think his internet farted. I don't know where he's at, but don't put that evil on him, Fire Salamander. Andreas, come back! He fell too far deep into the rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. We've witnessed, this here is what happens with your brain on conspiracy theories. Wait, he's rejoined? Are you joining on a different, is that you? What the hell happened?
I'm testing the limits of reality right now. I don't know. They took me out for that one. You got to be careful.
Wait, but how did you exist did you rejoin and on the same system?
I must have. I just restarted my the page. Yeah,
it's a clone. Clone-aid.
The other organization they have is Clitoraid, where they go around trying to like stop.
I'm sorry, what?
Off. Clitoraid.
Clitoraid. Is that where they try to convince people the clitoris is real, or doesn't exist? Which one?
I'd show you the picture. I don't know if I should, but basically, it's the other thing the Raelians do is they try to stop clitoral mutilation and clitoral circumcision.
Mutilation.
Yeah, because you know people circumcise the clitoris in Africa. They like remove it in certain cultures. Yeah,
no,
it's terrible, super terrible. It's a horrible thing going on in Africa. So Clitoraid, they try to stop that from happening. And because I can't even ethically. I mean, as a Californian, I'm not allowed to say that it's wrong, but it is. You know, like
what?
Culture,
wait. What do you mean? As a Californian, you can't say that's wrong. That's wrong. What?
It's in school, dude.
The clitoris is a psyop.
It's cool, yeah. Like, what have they been doing, man? But then they try to like restore the female clitoris as well. But like it's very much like brought up in the Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back movie where they have like the
clit commando.
Click Commander.
I am the Click Commander.
That's what it's a terrorist organization they're talking about. And then the other thing is Krav Maga, right? So because we talk about MAGA all the time, and everyone loves
that's
MAGA.
A fighting style, isn't it? Krav Maga.
Yeah, but it's Krav Maga though. Like that's the thing. Like, what are we doing with MAGA? Is MAGA not about Krav Maga?
Well,
like, isn't it kind of?
I mean, no, it's just an anagram.
Isn't it though? I kind of think.
I mean, come on.
We're not allowed to make that stretch. I think there's a reason
come
why
on.
we're doing.
Really?
Why is America first Israel? You know, like I think it's because Krav Maga. I think that's the thing. It's like it's an Israeli self-defense. That's what MAGA is really for. That's where it hurts. I know, because we want to believe that MAGA is like this perfect movement.
Stop it.
I've been really. Okay, we had a conversation, you and I, at a bonfire pit at Timcast years ago.
This was a long time ago.
Long ago in a galaxy far, far away. And
that has happened. I don't know. What were we talking about?
It was before January 6th, and we were both asking each other, like, what do we think is going on? Do you think that, Trump was still president the first time? This is before Biden. We're like, do you think that everything is legit? Like, he says one thing, but like maybe there's something secret there. Do you think he's like really fighting like the evil battle? Like, is he doing his best to stop, child sex trafficking for real? Like, and he's just not, he says one thing, but doing another. What do you think about Q? Do you think there's anything to that? Like, we were both like, going on about that. And at that was the point when I was like the most open to, because I really wanted to believe that Trump was Q, and that, that'd be great, right? And that there was some sort of a fight to save kids. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? And that, maybe that we were going to see like some sort of like secret battle against evil waged in the public, right? And that was right before January 6th, but I was still super skeptical, and you were very skeptical too. You like same thing. You wanted it to be, you thought that would be awesome. You were aware of what people were talking about, but you were like, skeptical
of
guy.
Course. Yeah, like sure, I would love it for him to be like an actual fighter and on that note, the FBI, I've covered this on my channel many times where the FBI did different operations saving children. They have been pretty consistent. There is a group of FBI agents that are good guys that are actually out there fighting trafficking, saving victims, and actually doing it. I know because I've watched them perform operations and see that. So on that note, they have upped they've upped the amount of anti-trafficking systems that they put in and saved a lot of kids over the past couple months. Like, it's awesome, and I love seeing it. So like, I know that they've been doing really good shit. They've stopping a ridiculous amount of fentanyl coming across the border, and like shutting down like cartel workings along the southern border. So like, look, I'm not saying that the FBI doesn't do good, but this is something so big and important to the general public that none of it matters. All the good that they've done is basically squandered and thrown out the window because of them basically botching the release of this Epstein stuff. Like, if there truly wasn't anything there, if Biden or the people who, even if Epstein, I suggest this, like, what if he threw his book in a fire, and what if he was, got rid of the most damning shit, and all they have is just like, I don't know. I don't even want to think about what they've got. You know what I mean? But if they don't have evidence of the people we think are on the list, the flight log list, all the celebrity people share a lot of different lists, but there's one that tends to be shared, and it's the flight logs with all the celebrities that have been to his island. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Maybe they don't have anything. I don't know. But like, dude, they fucking botched the shit, and it's really sad.
How many CEOs died since 2019? How many CEOs were stepping down from major companies? What was the major thing that the Q post said? That there would be a secret war?
I have no idea. I don't follow Q. I don't remember. Well, I wasn't.
It's 5 years ago, yeah.
I said where we go we go all once as a joke on Timcast, and like I gained like 20,000 followers the next day. I'm not joking. It was like insane. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm not following Q, but like clearly there was like a move there, like, whoa, soy Jesus is, he gets it on Timcast. And I was like, no, I just have my eyes open. You know what I mean?
Well, so
was,
like Yes Staley, Jean-Luc Brunel, a lot of these like Michael McCoon, and then you were talking about all the like surviving victims, but there's a lot of dead victims as well. CEOs with possible ties: Thomas Barrick, Leon Black, Lex Wexner. A lot of these characters had to step down and lose their power. So what did Q say? As I recall, it was you can't trust the narrative, you have to trust the plan, which is like a horrible thing.
I hate that
I hated that
statement.
completely, so that made me like super skeptical. But the idea that you couldn't say something in the public because it was happening behind the scenes, that was the whole aesthetic of the Q narrative. It was that and why was this? Because these characters are so entrenched and ingrained in the economy that to remove them would collapse the economy. So it had to be done quietly, where they were removed and replaced with different persons, so that these companies didn't collapse. Because why would that be so bad if a company collapsed? Well, if it's a big NASDAQ Dow Jones company, they have in retirement pensions for all of these workers. And these workers would then go bankrupt and they would lose everything they had because their entire pensions are tied up in the value of these companies. So the companies had to switch, change hands, and continue to move forward. That was a big narrative that was being pushed 5 years ago, that it would have to be a gradual process to remove these people quietly and that no deals would be made, which is really funny because that's the only thing that Trump's been talking about for the last year, is that he's all about deals, that deals are being made, all of these deals are happening. So it's the antithesis of what everyone was hoping would happen. The other thing is the idea that Trump won 3 presidencies, because the last time I checked, everyone's joking about it, but it seems like pretty clear. And he's been saying I would run for a 3rd term, and they're like, "How could you run for a third term? What if this is the 3rd term?" Right? That's the blue anon.
Well,
conspiracy.
it isn't though, because he didn't actually perform a term. That was,
If he was the
I don't even want to
commander-in-chief
say it.
secretly?
I don't even want to say it. He wasn't, dude. Stop
And
that.
Biden, what if Biden was working for Trump the whole time? Did you remember? Because
There's no way, dude.
This is why January 6th is so weird, because January 6th
No.
happens in such a way that shuts down the Q movement, silences everybody, ends the world the way we know it, and begins like the Biden COVID close down. And if he is working, you don't think so? You don't think there's any plausibility to this, that he
Not
was
in the
actually behind the wheel?
slightest. No. If anything, it was Obama behind the wheel.
Well, sure, but like, what if Obama and the entire administration was seriously working for the new
Trump and
administration?
Obama working together? Is that what you're suggesting right now?
How crazy is that drama? I mean, what do you believe more, that politicians really hate each other and or that it's all a show? Like, isn't principally more probable that everything is all a show?
No, I did a deep dive on Trump, and I know for a fact throughout his entire life he has been an outcast. He was an outcast in the New York real estate scene in the 70s before he built Trump Tower. And they did not want him to be a part of it. They considered him new money, the elites of the city.
Sure,
And
he's like
I
the
don't
caddy at Caddyshack.
and I think the same thing with politics. He was not a politician. He probably came in. They were all friendly with him because he was
Why did he
rich and
come in?
famous.
Bill Clinton
Because
asked him to run,
and
right?
no, hold on. Even if that's true, he'd been talking about wanting to potentially be a politician since the 80s, long before Bill Clinton told him to run for president or whatever. When did that happen? When did he say? When did Bill Clinton say that to him?
Right before the election. So what,
Yeah,
2016
in the
or something like
15s,
that?
right? Exactly. So
2015,
like,
yeah.
no. Long before any of that, he had been talking about like understanding the political landscape of America, and like I could see that throughout his life,
with
he's
Oprah.
obviously aware of the political, and they were friends with him because he wasn't a threat to their power. But as soon you saw it. What the plan was to have him become fucking public enemy number 1 on the entire planet. Like
People like that.
they turned what full on Trump. Dude, Trump agreeing to become a heel for the entire world. I highly doubt it, dude.
He was the heel of his own show, The Apprentice, and being a
But
heel
people
is also,
loved him, though.
that's the thing. People
They
love the
loved him being
villain.
a heel.
People love Scar. People love Ursula. People love Trump.
Holy
And this is
shit.
this is reverse psychology at its best. Because if you can't get someone to vote for Hillary Clinton because you can't get them to like her, you can at least get people to hate so much, and then to be, I'm tired of being told what to do. And you're saying I have to do this. Well, then no, I'm going to do the opposite, right? And this leads to everyone eventually being rocked into a lull state of believing. And this is, I don't want to believe this because I like Trump, but at the same time, maybe I'm manipulated. That's the way it would happen to manipulate me to like him, is to make me feel like I'm doing making my own choice in reverse psychology.
I don't know. The moves that he's made though is actually good for America. It is actually good for the American public. So like what all the executive orders that Biden did canceled most of Trump's first term. It was like
right. 17 orders, Q.
How would that? Okay, well, I mean, but how? No, it was way more than that.
No, on the first day though, as the first day
Yeah.
on January 20th, he put 17 orders in, and then the whole thing with when Biden is being inaugurated, not having any of the military flags behind him, showing that he doesn't actually have the control of the commander-in-chief position of army, as if this is all under the watch of a super president that's above the president, like
Obama.
a silent partner. Maybe, but I mean,
sitting in his basement in his sweatpants, exactly as he said he wanted.
It could be. I think that Biden, though, at the end of the day, Biden is
with the auto pen sitting next to him, you know.
But Biden is Biden's grandmother is the cousin of Dick Cheney, right? So he's completely tied into the Bush.
Oh,
CIA
dude, don't even get me started on Biden. He's one of the most corrupt politicians in American history.
I'm sorry, I meant Obama's grandmother. I'm sorry, Obama's grandmother.
Okay.
And is married to Sergeant Stanley Dunham, right? So the president of the Bank of Hawaii, her cousin was Dick Cheney. So Dick Cheney's connection to Obama is super interesting, like the neoconservative connection. And at the inauguration, we're supposed to believe that these are characters that are all, like W. Bush was there. This is right.
No, they're the elites. Those are the elites. Same when Trump was moving into Manhattan from Brooklyn. The elites of Manhattan were like, go back home. Those elites, Democrat, Republican, of course, it's a uniparty. They all are connected. They all know each other. They all circle jerk each other behind the scenes, of course. But I'm sorry, I do not believe that Trump has this is like the turned heel to like get them to convince the world that they are getting what they want and that voting actually works still, which could be a debate. Some people just don't believe that voting works. I think it does. I think that's why Trump is president and not Kamala Harris. Holy shit. We dodged a bullet there, didn't we? Holy crap.
Well, yeah. So I guess it's possible. I mean, that there's no conspiracy, that Trump is.
All right. That's fair, Gio. That's fair.
Yeah, parasites elite. Well, also the word elite's weird, right? Elite, like it sounds very much like it's the followers of El, or the children of the Elohim. There's a reason they use that word, because they think themselves to be super important. But Stansfield Turner was in charge of the CIA during Carter's administration, 75 after Nixon, and this is the beginning of George H.W. Bush moving out of the JFK. So this is the other thing, is after JFK assassination and the moving of the CIA starts to establish themselves as corporate. They have all this power as corporations. They don't even need money from the taxpayers anymore. They just kind of use the black money, but they build companies in other places and run like Zenith Television, or they break up phone companies so they can run the phone company in other countries. So like the corporatism connection to Trump is really interesting, because Trump several times over has been bankrupted and lifted up out of debt. And it seems pretty
many times in the
90s. They own him. Maybe that's crazy, because he obviously has acted like he doesn't want to be under anyone's control.
He had, but the time that he was being bankrupt, that was some of his businesses, not all of his businesses. He still was incredibly successful in many of his ventures. So it's like, you know what I mean? If one of his businesses goes bankrupt, doesn't mean he personally went bankrupt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he always had, a lot of debt through all of these corporations. And so if anyone's owning Trump, it's completely imaginable that the CIA is the money system that bailed out Trump and kept him going. And his association with the Jesuits and the intelligence community and Israel just make him seem a little bit less of a sovereign figure. I know that it's like hard if you want to believe.
If you would have told me any of this before today, I would have been like, dude, you are smoking crack.
Yeah,
but then,
sure. No one wants to hear that.
But then I heard him today go, "Are you still talking about Epstein? You're asking about Epstein? Why are you talking about Epstein?" And then I look on Twitter or X, I see Ben Shapiro like, "Yep, that's it, guys. We they've said it. They've got nothing, and I'm gonna stand with Bongino, and that's it. So Epstein killed himself. That's my best.
That's not bad.
Try.
I would do a little bit more like Porky Pig. It's anti-Semitism. That's what it sounds like to me.
Anti-Semitism. That's funny. Oh, that's a soundbite right there. Anyway, anytime anti-Semitism comes up, I just want to like play that. I'm the anti-Semitism. Oh, that was fantastic.
Does that, though. It's sad, man. I don't know. I think the likelihood that we just talked about earlier, there's so many islands in the world, right? Like every day there's new islands being made, right? Our government actually can produce islands. This is back to Ghislaine Maxwell. Because Ghislaine Maxwell, she had the Terra Mars program, which was that there are the commons. The commons are, if we believe in the world as an anarcho-capitalist economy, every state doesn't have technically a new world order. We'd like to think the UN is, but it's not. Theoretically, every state is its own oligarch or sovereign state. Theoretically, we have NATO. We have this. It's not really true, but this is the idea that the oceans are the commons and the lands are sovereign states, and that every person fights against every other person to create capitalist corporations and states. And the state then controls the corporations because the state becomes the monopoly of violence. But in between are the commons. So Terra Mars, all these corporations, they can go out into the anarcho marine territory and they can find islands and they can build their own. The model is Epstein Island, because if you can have your own island, if you can have your own boat, then you have your own sovereignty on your boat, which is exactly what happened with Robert Maxwell, right? Glenn Maxwell's father, who was part of the Labour Party, who did the same thing, by the way. He had like a mansion in London where they had cameras everywhere to record whatever they were doing, to get politicians like Jimmy Savile, who you brought up yesterday. They have all this footage that way they can own these people. Dude, for sure. It's super important. I'm glad that Garrett brought him up, because that's the kind of thing that's constantly being swept under the rug until a person dies. Jimmy Savile, people knew kind of, but like they weren't pushing the point until he was dead. As soon as he was dead, they destroyed all of the records, and they don't know exactly who he was working with. Same thing with Gary Glitter, the guy who made that song that we hear at every single sports arena. He was doing the same thing on his boat. So all these boats. Yeah. I mean, I like the song. I feel bad.
Hey! Wait, that's a bad song. That's
it's a great song, but the guy Gary Glitter is a bad, dark man. Yeah.
Okay. Good song, bad man. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
there's many such cases, like Star Trek, for example. I love Star Trek, but Gene Roddenberry, fucking creep. Holy shit.
But when you say separate the art,
don't look up what he said about his own daughters.
Ooh.
I wish I could unhear it. Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, Trump said some weird things about his daughter too. You have to separate the art from the artist, but then you have to start thinking about how Hitler was an artist, and it's like, I don't know, how much can you really separate the art from the artist? Like, you can only do that like a little bit. You have to be careful.
Not as creepy. He wasn't as creepy as Gene Roddenberry. Saying like I would date her is like pretty weird.
Trump, I was like, whoa, yeah.
Trump, Gene Roddenberry went way worse. It was the word delicious was involved.
Oh my god, yeah. There's some issues with that guy.
And it got way worse.
He was a good friend with Anton LaVey and Michael Aquino, Gene Roddenberry, his association with the Church of Satan and the Temple of Set. There's a whole thing.
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all, actually.
That's
I don't know anything about it.
That's kind of the point. He's like, his whole point of the original Star Trek, if you watch the pilot and now the Strange New World show, it's about Christopher Pike, right? As in Pike like the Freemason, Albert Pike, right? Am I saying that right? Albert Pike, Freemason, Albert Pike, right? Yeah, Albert Pike.
I gotta watch it. Wait, you're talking about the original first episode of Star
Trek.
Very
first episode. So before Captain Kirk, Kirk means church. Albert Pike is who wrote Morals and Dogma, which is a 33-degree Scottish Rite Freemason, accepted speculative Freemasons. Christopher Pike is the name of the captain who gets destroyed in this weird simulacrum planet where there's and he's in this little black box and he's like beep beep, that old thing. But the whole idea is that Spock is his first man, is his Grand Vizier, kind of his intelligence officer. And in the old days, often for the Spanish Inquisition, anytime you had Christopher Columbus, you'd have a Jesuit priest who was the advisor to the captain. And on this, you've got a satanic, it even says in the screenplay, a Anton LaVey devilish character, and he's modeled after Anton LaVey. That the whole idea of Spock is modeled after Anton LaVey.
So all of Vulcans basically then.
And the Vulcan culture is modeled on the Church of Satan morality, right? Which is a stoic morality, which he eventually
logical.
He moves once he has a daughter. He starts moving into the beta zoids or whatever. This is why Diana Troy, she's all about emotion and empathy because it's sort of the Giannis marriage of the Vulcans. The Vulcans don't have emotions. Well, she's kind of the empath.
Oh, what kind of alien? She was an alien, but I don't
remember. Betazoid.
A betazoid, right? That's you said it. Okay, betazoid.
Yeah,
I knew that sounded familiar. I was like betazoid. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but so the Betazoids, but the Vulcans, they're modeled on the ethics of the Church of Satan, which is when you're in the Master's house, you can follow the rules. True, she's half Betazoid. There's a lot of weird stuff about that too, like the half human thing for all of the Next Generation characters, like Worf. Worf is not half human, but he's raised.
Worf is half.
Humans. No, he's adopted and raised by humans.
Worf was. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. His whole,
I haven't seen The Next Generation in a long time, but I loved that show growing up. Watched it with my dad.
They took it away from him because Gene Roddenberry wanted to make the Ferengi the bad guys in that show, and it was clearly super anti-Semitic, right? Because not just saying the big ears, big nose thing. It's because Ferengi actually is an Arabic word which means foreigner, right? It actually has to do with the Franks, but their obsession with money and the entire idea of
I hate that because Jewish people are not the only people that are obsessed with money. I feel like anyone can be obsessed with money. It's just like
yeah, I agree. I think that's totally true. I think there's something kind of weird about the way they did the Ferengi.
But that being said, stereotypes exist for a reason. That's it. I'm just saying. But I can't even do Porky Pig. Anti-Semitism. Oh man.
They moved to the Borg for that reason. That's basically why.
Oh yeah, the Borg. The Borg. I mean, at first they were cool, but then it just got cheesy with that queen and the freaking.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, originally it was supposed to just be a transhumanist thing where they all become they lack the singularity or the individuality, right?
Yeah, zero sovereignty at all. They become one unit, and that's fucking scary, dude. Because I could see that being a potential future. Like the singularity happens, and AI goes, "Oh, you have chips in your brain. Oh, well, we could just control you then, and each of us will take one of your bodies and we'll just continue. And you know what? We could probably create systems to keep you alive infinitely. So we'll just do that. And then you will no longer exist. The Borg becomes a thing. That's scary, dude.
We see that every day. And what's funny is it's not so hard to... You can imagine a wireless...
We see that every day with people who don't have chips in their brain.
Exactly. Because all you need is the monolith.
Must go with the flow. Do what everyone else does. We're there. Yeah.
People without internal dialogues. And if you have a child that's raised on a phone, I've been in supermarkets and these kids are staring at their phones.
Can't catch my son on a phone. No way.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that some of these kids do, and you just see them. They're all day. They're they're zapped in, and it's going to be accelerated because AI is designing programs now. So more and more of this is a kid learning directly to think from AI rather than
less competition for my son moving forward in life. He's going to have a huge advantage over every other child his age because he's going to live in reality, and everyone around him is going to be stuck, and he's just going to be like advancing.
Yeah,
sure
but I
I'm
feel like
making assumptions, but
the chip thing is such a like it's the chip thing is to make you not think it's happening. You're like, oh well, I don't have a chip in my head. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna stare at my phone all day. We're wirelessly interfacing right now with this stuff.
Or on the computers. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, people who sit at computers all day, and I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I sit at my computer often, and because I'm researching and reading articles and watching YouTube videos about usually fascinating things because of Forbidden Frontier or this show, but it's still I could be doing less of that and more of reality. Well, my having a son was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because it's forced me out of my little bubble, and I can't have my life is not the same anymore, and I'm okay with it. I don't regret it at all, and having a child is hard, but man, it's made me see how much I am connected to the internet, how much of my life is online, and I just it was a smack in the face, So
True. Yeah, getting outside is super important, but also, it's not even just the stuff we're watching, it's the way it's presented, like the graphical user interface, the way information is stored, how we bullet point and look at it, that's a new way of thinking. Like, so maybe 100 years ago, someone from England would have gone to, the middle of the rainforest or the jungle and met some tribal person, and the way they would have thought would have been very synthetic. We have a synthetic way of thinking that we learn in
I can see
school
that.
that's been created, right? It's a way of storing information in books, and we know how to look at the Dewey Decimal System. That's already the beginning of artificial intelligence. It's not as crazy as where we're at now, but it's hugely different than what a person's like in nature. And we found, like, in some of these, I mean, it's really hard because even 400 years ago, like the Jesuits went all over the world and started converting people to speaking their language. The Arabs went all over the world and converted people to speaking their language. But if you find these tribes, they're often, they might have only present tense continuum. They might not have a word for distrust. They might not have a word that describes difference between different kinds of people because they don't come up with these concepts without
It's like
having
Africa doesn't have a word for maintenance.
There you go.
It's actually true. No Africa country has a word for maintenance. It's crazy. Yeah.
But you do have words like Ubuntu, right? Which are the social universal health of all people or of all things.
Ubuntu?
Ubuntu. You know about Ubuntu, the Linux operating system, right? Ubuntu?
No.
Oh man.
No. It sounds awfully close to the word for white person. And it's basically the N-word for white people.
No, Ubuntu is cool.
In South Africa.
Ubuntu is
no, it's umlungu is the word I'm talking. Yeah, it's not the same. All right, what's Ubuntu?
Ubuntu is like an operating system that you can use instead of Windows. And so nowadays,
fascinating.
People use Steam now because that's becoming super famous to play video games. It's the new SteamOS. But you can basically get off of Windows at this point, and there's no point in using it because of Ubuntu. But Ubuntu comes from South Africa. It's made from British and Dutch and German and American programmers, but Canonical's the company out of South Africa.
Oh, so it's still white.
Well,
I'm just being super racist. I'm leaning into it.
There definitely are like different color people that are programmers.
I'm just playing.
And I think a big thing is that the reason it's happening in Africa is because little girls and boys with LimeWire used to destroy their computers with adware and malware and spyware. And then they're
like, damn it, I've had enough of this.
They send it to Africa, and then they have to figure out how to use that thing, so they install Linux on it. But it's called Ubuntu because the word means I am because we are, more or less, right? I am because we are. Yeah.
Wait, read this whole paragraph. I want to hear more about it.
The Ubuntu philosophy is an African concept that emphasizes interconnectedness, compassion, and communal harmony. It is often summarized by the phrase "I am because we are," highlighting the idea that individual well-being is tied to the well-being of the community. The philosophy promotes shared responsibility and trust amongst individuals, fostering a sense of belonging and mutual support. Notably, it has been applied in contexts such as South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, advocating for restorative justice and community-centric approaches. Well, that last part,
it lost me. Oh man,
too. They didn't used to do that,
dude. It just screams socialism to me, though, because the problem with what you just read, though, everybody has to be on board and everyone has to be like for it, right? As soon as there's those people that are like, oh, I can take advantage of the system, be lazy as fuck. That which will always happen in every single community. There's always someone that's going to be like, oh, I don't have to work as hard. It's like there's a video. I saw a video of this woman who walking out and getting her EBT stacks of EBT groceries, and she's like, I don't give a fuck using taxpayer dollars. I deserve this money. It's like the fuck that's that attitude of entitlement, that welfare and socialist shit. I live in a fairly socialist country, but
European socialism is inspired poorly from tribal common sense. So the European edition of this,
my sentiment remains the same, though. There's still people that will take advantage of the system no matter what.
That's true, but I think there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of a thing as long as there's positive reciprocity. The problem, think of it like this: if a bee,
the people I'm talking about. It's not a net positive.
Exactly.
No.
Positive reciprocity is where both parties benefit. This can be done, but people.
If everyone's on board, that's what I'm saying.
No, people don't need to know they're on board. So the omnivore's dilemma.
But they have to be on board.
What is it? The omnivore's dilemma. It's about birds and bees and stuff. Okay. So the birds and the bees.
So like sex.
Literal birds and bees, but sex is also another example.
Oh, okay, sure.
In nature, birds and bees will think that they're exploiting trees, right? A bee will take to the flower and be like, I'm just sucking up this pollen right now. I'm just exploiting the hell out of this flower.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to go get it. But they're really being exploited by the flower. Because the flower's like, oh man, I'm getting all my pollen sucked up, and this stupid bee is flying around. This drone, he's just flying around. He's just proliferating my whole thing.
That is not a good analogy. I'm sorry. You're talking about a mutual relationship, right? That's a mutually agreed upon. I mean, the flower wants the bee, and the bee wants the flower. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? Like, it's mutual. Right, it's a ecosystem of balance. All right, so when you introduce socialism into a human society, if everyone symbiosis, great word of describing that. Yeah, like it could work. I'm not saying it can't work, but literally everyone has to be on board. Everyone has to want to pitch in. Everyone has to be a part of it. So I don't think that it applies here. I don't think it's the same. You back? Oh man, his internet is terrible. Spell check got you, Gio? Well, you were technically there before it. I'll give it to you as well. All right, let's roll the die while we wait for him. This is the 100-sided die, all right? Good luck, have fun. This is for absolutely nothing. The dice has been rolled. Good luck. Wow. Okay. Interesting. We're gonna wait until he arrives again. He's here, but he's not here. All right. So good luck guessing. Get one guess. You get one guess. Don't be guessing multiple times. Okay. And get to the. Wow.
We're back. Oh my god.
And we're back. All right. So let's see. We're gonna go with the closest guess. Andreas, guess a number 1 through 100.
23.
Okay, we're going to go with the closest guess. Obviously, it is not 23. But Diana Francisco actually gets it the closest. She guessed 15. It is 18, which is great. So which is weird because I feel like I'm pretty sure the last time I rolled this, I also guessed I rolled an 18.
It's pretty good.
Do you guys remember that?
19. I stopped myself, but I still would have been off by 1.
Diana Francisco, you just won absolutely nothing here on the Crigler Show. Congratulations. Save it up for nothing nice. In fact, you can redeem it in person in September when you come to the meetup in September 13th, the Arlington Ale House at 6 p.m. is when the bar opens. I'm going to be there at 6 p.m. hanging out with you guys. And she is going to be coming and enjoying herself. So this is an absolute first on the Crigler show. She's going to redeem nothing in person. It's going to be amazing. And she's saying in chat, she's going to share it with everyone in Chicago. Literally every single citizen in Chicago, at least a couple million. Millions of people are going to receive nothing. She said 15 on Rumble. Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
But that's an example of positive reciprocity because you're offering something.
Oh my God, you're still on this. Stop. Okay. I'm gonna give her an empty glass when she shows up, and here's your nothing. No. Well, that's a glass though. She's still getting something. No. I'm gonna say congratulations. Actually, it is funny because when I do see her, I am actually gonna give her something because she did win a Timcast IRL skateboard. And it's been sitting here forever for her. So I am gonna bring that for her. So funny enough.
Diana, we gotta see videos of you skateboarding. That's the future. That's really
no. Actually, I don't know if she's gonna put it on her wall or give it to somebody. What are you gonna do with the board, Diana?
She's like, yeah, I'm gonna skate. That's what she's saying.
Okay, sure, yeah, sure. I'm just gonna read these real quick. Diana Francisco for 2 says, "What a good day. Have been missing Andreas and all his wisdom." Well, she didn't do this, but I'm gonna put wisdom in quotes.
Yeah, I was like, calm down. Yeah, but thank you.
I got you. What a treat. Love you, Andreas, Adam, and chat. Thank you very much. And then she continued for another 2. She says, Andreas, please come home to go to Chicago in September. We need you there. Bro, how long are you gonna be over here on this side?
I mean, I'm going to Montenegro, so I think I'm gonna be here, not there. But I love
so
you.
Wait, so you're gonna go to Montenegro for what?
Just because, like after the 90-day visa period, basically.
But isn't that in Europe still? Like, no, isn't that
not legally speaking? It's not part of the EU. Serbia, Turkey, Bosnia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, these are all non-EU countries. So
wait, Turkey's not a part of the EU? Oh, they're part of the UN.
Yeah, NATO.
Right, not the EU. Right. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so you're just the Schengen realm is like the lands that are part of that you can go without border checks.
So you're gonna go over there, check your passport, and get like, I don't know, try to reset it without actually traveling all, because it's way cheaper to probably fly to Montenegro.
Super, and it's also super cheap to live there too. It's basically like,
is it
living in Greece 30 years ago?
Is it safe?
I mean, kind of.
Ish.
Like, what does that even mean? Is Chicago safe? Like, what does that even? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Definitely. Chicago. Right. People go like they think Chicago it's terrible everywhere in Chicago. I'm like, no. The rich people of Chicago cut Chicago in half and took all the low income everything and shoved it down to the south side and said, here, let that be hell. That's Chirac. So like half of Chicago is like beautiful, pristine, amazing Chicago. That's super safe. Like that's just a reality in many cities, actually, So, so it's like, yeah, sure. It's super safe. If you know where to go. If you don't, and you end up in the wrong area, catch a stray bullet, you can't even go to a hospital in that area because they turn away gunshot wounds. Like that's how bad those areas can become. So, anyway, the Black Blade for 2 says the zither. That is all.
Yeah,
dude, you saw my zither, right?
That's pretty sweet, dude. Zithers are great. You said you have 41 string zither. That's what you have,
dude. 41. Isn't that crazy? For those who don't know, I don't know if you all were here yesterday or not, but I found a $5 zither in a thrift store, like the day or two after I learned what a zither was. I had never even heard of the word zither. That is actually Andreas's theme song. He hears that when he wakes up.
Yeah, I love zithers. My dad has a zither.
But it's like super out of tune. But I think, all the pegs are here, and they're like they're solid. They're not loose. And
you need like a guitar tuner. I mean, a piano tuner. But you can get
a zither.
Did you find the?
I have a piano.
Did you?
I have a piano tuner. Doesn't work.
Did you already get? Did you already get strings? Because I sent
No,
you a link.
no.
Prenix
I saw.
is in Sweden. And you
Yeah,
get like
I saw
15...
the link that you sent. It looked like there was just like a bunch of individual strings,
I thought that they're
right?
just sets. Am I wrong? I thought they're sets of strings because they're
Look,
like...
look, look. So like this here, it says there's 17 products. So does that mean like this is 2 strings? This looks like, so like I don't even know what any of this means. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't speak Swedish either. But you know what? Maybe your wife or somebody who
Wait,
likes
Mariestad.
calling them.
Hold on. I actually might know where that is. Okay, wait a minute. I gotta go to Google Maps and look up where that is. I feel like I've been to this place. Okay, I haven't been there, but I have seen signs for it. That's why I know it. So it's pretty far north of me. It's probably like 3 hours north of me. And I've driven about 4 hours to visit some of Nisha's friends. So I could see where I saw signs for this. Okay, it's kind of cool. A little far, but
It's
anyway.
probably worth it. I mean, I think there's several sites I found though that you can find it. We should look through.
Well, just the
Maybe
fact that you
contact
found
them.
that site is dope. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah, like
appreciate
I figure
that.
like in Sweden's probably good, but Europe you can probably get stuff across Europe too.
Well,
But
this
there's
is
a difference in nylon strings.
significantly cheaper than everything else I've seen. Oh, they're nylon strings? I don't want nylon strings.
No. These are real strings. I'm just saying I saw also
Oh,
nylon
okay.
strings. I didn't send you that link because I
Yeah.
figured
Yeah,
you
yeah,
felt
yeah.
that way, you know.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I mean, I saw some crazy expensive not rings, strings, and I'm like, I can't afford to string an instrument that is got a big crack down the middle. I don't know how to play it. I mean, I would love to restring it. It is broken, but I think it's fixable. Like if you, it still rings, you know.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like. So like I'm sure like you see the crack. It goes from here all the way
Zoom it
to
up. I
there.
can't really see it, but solo that. Ooh,
Okay.
zooming in.
So you can see, there you go. You can see the crack.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like it goes all the way out to like, right there. But like it's still, look how beautiful this thing is.
It's very nice. And you could probably
The cool thing
epoxy or
is,
something.
I don't know if you could see it. Oh, it's very hard to see actually. It's hard for me to see. Skandinavisk, which is Scandinavian, Amerikansk. So it literally is a Scandinavian American instrument. That's kind of funny, right? I mean, just based on who I am, and I'm an American, so basically, like, I came out here and created a Scandinavian American. This is my son, and then I found this. I don't know. I think I wonder if I could even fix that. Get some wood glue.
Yeah,
and,
or
like,
epoxy. Yeah.
stick it in there. And I don't know if I would want to use epoxy. I think I would rather use a wood glue with like with wood shavings in it and mix it up so that it's actually wood in there, you know what I mean? But I guess epoxy would work too. The crack doesn't go past this, so
someone just said, Mr. Squiggles said usually cracks won't affect the sound. I don't know if Mr. Squiggles is a professional zither expert.
Yeah, Squigs, what do you know about zithering, huh? What you know about okay.
Slytherin,
And
yeah.
Diana Francisco for 2. She said, Andreas, where are you now?
I'm in Dresden.
Are you still in Germany?
Yeah. I went to Vienna for like a bit, and that was really cool. I went there and
dude, Austria is so beautiful, man.
It's really nice, man.
It's beautiful.
I like it there.
I went to Austria with Nisha like, I don't know, almost 10 years ago, and we got stuck somewhere for a while because like we were both waiting on some like some paychecks to come through, and so we were like, well, we're stuck here for like a week, and we ended up at this like camping spot in like nestled in these island or these mountains in Austria. I don't remember the name of the town, but she'll remember it. But there was this forest here that you walked in, and it was just clovers everywhere. Just the entire ground was just clovers. So you would walk through clovers. It was the most magical, and light would like filter through, and it was just like literally clovers as far as the eye could see with beautiful trees everywhere. But like, you're walking on clovers. It was crazy. We looked for 4-leaf. We couldn't find any, but I'm sure they were there. It was the most clovers I've ever seen in my life.
Probably like Tyrol or something. Tyrol is like a nice, like natural place.
Okay, it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna go to Google Maps because I can find it. I know I can. I'm such a freak when it comes to maps.
So
okay.
Austria is cool because it's like after the war, they were, World War II, they had a treaty and constitutional law that forbade Austria from ever picking sides ever again, to always remain neutral, right? So they're supposedly the neutralist, more neutral than Switzerland even, because Switzerland's lost its neutrality for supporting the Ukraine conflict and things in Turkey. But recently, and so this is another important thing, is that Russian spies and Americans can like meet in like Austria, and it's like supposed to be neutral ground, they're able to exchange documents or whatever they need. So it's supposed to be a place that you don't have to worry about being bombed by the Americans or by the Russians. That's basically Austria's whole reason for existence. Unfortunately, they seem like they're more and more interested in rearmament. EU is pushing for NATO rearmament of all these countries, which is going to put them on the map for getting bombed. And that's like another one of those yellow pamphlet countries all of a sudden, which is a bummer,
I couldn't find it. This was 9 years ago, and I just drove the path once, so I don't remember exactly where I went. So I'm not ashamed. Oh, she definitely has it documented, and without a doubt. So, all right, I'm gonna get out of here though. That was freaking awesome, Andreas. You are more than welcome to come on my show anytime you want and dive down into the rabbit hole. I love it.
Sorry, I've been gone for like a few weeks because I've just been like weird.
No, it's fine. I feel like everyone kind of has spun out to do their own thing, and I get it. And my life feels like a blur myself. So like, it happens to everyone. Everyone's got their own shit. So.
But I got a place now.
Love to have you back. Love to have you back on Bay Staff anytime you can come. You're always welcome. So
this Monday should be good.
I missed a rant. Okay. Oh, Diana Francisco for 2 says, and beside Andreas, we have to time travel for the awaited ice cream. So Chicago is in your future for September, please. Okay. All right. I got you, Diana.
For sure. We should make some ice cream, Diana. Anytime we'll make some ice cream. That sounds like a thing.
Blackblade for another super chat right at the last moment for 5 says, ever see Tina S play Moon Knight Sonata? Looks like really tough, but she's not seeming like it's hard at all. No, I don't even know what you're talking about. Is that on like a YouTube video somewhere? Tina S. Moon there.
I wonder if I could still play Moonlight Sonata. I used to be able to do that.
Very fast. Oh, okay. So it's a guitar player. All right.
He's on piano. I don't know about the guitar. I mean, that's why we keep the decent guitarists like Adam around,
Okay. Well, I'm not a good guitar player. I am. Okay, I guess maybe decent. All right. I could say I'm decent at the guitar.
I tune in whenever, I don't always chat in, but I'll be on my phone walking by. I'll see that 90s music with Adam Crigler. I'll pop in and listen to that, bro.
That's cool. I do feel like I am fairly 90s music,
The best time to be alive was the 90s. 1/5 of the
dude. That's when I discovered music, was in the 90s. So like that, my influences come from the 90s and early aughts, but mostly late 90s.
Dude,
so
that was like when America, like Russia had fallen. America had all of the world's resources. We had people in China, like making our toys for your drive-through to buy fast food. It was a crazy time to be alive. It was not bad.
Yeah. Before the internet took everyone's brains,
And you had military industrial grade computer chips so you could play Mario Brothers and Lion King. It was great. It was good. Sega does what Nintendo don't.
What do you got going on? What's coming up for you?
Okay, so to Wednesday. So I just did sync today. It was like 3 shows actually. So I put up the
Wow.
church committee hearing. I have Team Rabbit Hole interview with Manifestopheles just happened, and I had Think Tank, which was like 3 hours or more. So
Wow.
watch the Think Tank. It was pretty good.
On. Okay, wow.
But also tomorrow is 8 p.m. Advanced Philosophy Meetings, which Jordan from Divulgence podcast will be joining, and Chris, my Korean friend who is a samurai swordsman and does all of his. He like runs the dojo in New York, and like he's just basically taking over because like other Japanese swordsmen are dying out. So he's just like the interesting guy. So we're doing another grounding kind of moment tomorrow, and then I think there's another. I have an interview with Zoltan coming up. Zoltan was the first guy who started the United States Transhumanist Party, so he's coming on. Fascinating. Soon. And he's all about. Tonight. He's weird. No, on Thursday. Well, now it is going to be Thursday. Coming up. The next Thursday. Soon. Yeah. But it's Thursday. But he's cool because he's not. Oh, okay. I don't agree with him on most things he talks about. Like, you know how we talk about transhumanism, and I can be like, go, go, go sometimes.
Yeah.
But this guy, he constantly wants to chip people and things like that. So I think it'll be really interesting because you never hear one of these guys like arguing for their, like what they want. And it'd be interesting to have that, and we'll be arguing about it, and I'll be saying, no, you shouldn't chip everybody, and he'll be saying, yeah. So that'll be good.
All right, sounds awesome. Well, everyone, if you don't know Xirtus, you do now. All right, but
if you
I'll
watch
be back.
Xirtus, you already know.
There it is. All right, everyone, we'll see you tomorrow night here on the Crigler Show. Peace.
Oh, here we go. We are falling with Andreas down the rabbit hole. I'm falling, falling, falling down, down, down the rabbit hole with Andreas. Exert us. Here we go, we are falling. Careful, somebody asked a question or said a thing. And now we are falling down the rabbit hole on some tangent. I love it. Oh, here we go. We are falling with Andreas down the rabbit hole. I'm falling, falling, falling down, down, down the rabbit hole with Andreas. Exert us. Here we go, we are falling. Careful, we're falling with Andreas. Somebody asked a question or said a thing. And now we are falling down the rabbit hole on some tangent. I love it. With Andreas down the rabbit hole. I'm falling, falling, falling down, down, down the rabbit hole with Andreas. Exert us. Oh, we go, we are falling. Careful, we're falling with Andreas. Somebody asked a question or said a thing. And now we are falling down the rabbit hole on some tangent. I love it.